Keanu Reeves mocked by bank manager in a luxury bank, unaware he is the owner. Keanu Reeves entered the grand lobby of the Sterling Royal Bank, his simple black t-shirt and worn-out jeans making him look like just another ordinary customer. He had no bodyguards, no entourage, just himself, as always. The bank's interior was dazzling. A crystal chandelier hung from the ceiling, polished marble floors reflected the golden glow of warm lighting, and finely dressed bankers attended to high-profile clients. Keanu took a deep breath and walked toward the reception desk. "Excuse me, I'd like to open an account," he said politely. The receptionist, a young woman in an expensive navy blue uniform, barely glanced at him. "For regular customers, the queue is over there," she said, pointing toward a long line of people waiting for assistance. Keanu nodded, unfazed, and walked toward the line. As he waited, he observed the people around him, businessmen in tailored suits, women draped in designer clothing, and even a few celebrities he recognized from Hollywood events. No one paid him any attention. That was the funny thing about fame. When he wasn't on a red carpet, people barely noticed him, especially when he wasn't dressed like a millionaire. After about 15 minutes, his turn finally came. He stepped up to the counter where a middle-aged bank manager with slick-back hair and a smug expression sat behind a gleaming mahogany desk. His nameplate read, "Mr. Richardson, Senior Manager." "Yes, how can I help you?" Mr. Richardson asked, eyeing Keanu's simple attire with mild disapproval. "I'd like to open an account," Keanu repeated, handing over a small folder of documents. Mr. Richardson barely looked at them. "We have different types of accounts, sir. Our Royal Elite account requires a minimum deposit of $5 million. I assume you're looking for a standard savings account." His tone was laced with condescension. Keanu smiled politely. "Actually, I'm interested in the Royal Elite account." The manager scoffed. "Oh, that's an exclusive account, meant for high net worth individuals. You need more than a paycheck to afford it." Keanu remained calm. "I understand. Can you walk me through the process?" Mr. Richardson leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Look, sir, I don't mean to be rude, but this isn't some local branch where anyone can just waltz in and open a luxury account. We cater to real VIPs, CEOs, tycoons, royalty. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable with a regular checking account?" Keanu chuckled softly. "And what makes you think I don't qualify?" The manager laughed outright this time. "Sir, with all due respect, look at yourself. You're wearing jeans that look like they've been through a war, and your shoes, are those even branded? You don't exactly scream billionaire. Listen, I'll save you the embarrassment. How about I set you up with our basic savings package? No fees, no complications, just a simple place to keep your paycheck safe." Keanu's smile didn't falter, but there was a glint in his eyes now. "You know, Mr. Richardson, I think I'd rather speak to the bank's chairman. Would you mind arranging a meeting?" The manager smirked again. "The chairman? That would be impossible. Our chairman doesn't meet with random walk-ins. He only deals with serious investors and stakeholders." Keanu sighed, nodding as if he finally understood something. Then, with deliberate slowness, he pulled out his phone, scrolled through his contacts, and pressed a number. "Hey, Thomas. Yeah, I'm at the Sterling Royal Bank right now. Could you come down for a second?" Mr. Richardson frowned. "Excuse me, who are you calling?" Keanu ignored him. "Yeah, I'll wait. Thanks, man." A few moments later, the heavy double doors at the back of the bank swung open, and a tall, sharply dressed man in his 50s stepped out, flanked by two assistants. His presence commanded immediate respect. Every employee straightened up, and even the high-profile clients turned their heads. "Keanu," the man said, beaming as he walked over and shook Keanu's hand warmly. "I had no idea you were visiting today. Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Mr. Richardson's face drained of color. Keanu smiled. "I wanted to see how things run here from a customer's perspective." The chairman, Thomas, chuckled. "I hope my staff treated you well." Keanu turned to Mr. Richardson, whose smugness had vanished. The man now looked like he wanted to disappear. "Well," Keanu said, "Mr. Richardson here was just explaining to me how the Royal Elite account is only for real VIPs. Apparently I don't look the part." The chairman's smile faded instantly, replaced by a sharp look of displeasure. "Is that so?" He turned to Mr. Richardson. "Do you have any idea who you've been speaking to?" I Mr. Richardson stammered. Keanu finally decided to put the man out of his misery. You see, Mr. Richardson, I actually own a controlling share in this bank. I prefer to stay in the background, but technically, that makes me your boss. The manager's jaw dropped. The entire bank had gone silent. Keanu continued, and if there's one thing I can't stand, it's people who judge others based on their appearance. Mr. Richardson's face was now redder than a ripe tomato. Sir, I didn't know. Keanu raised a hand. Let's not make excuses. I believe in second chances, but I also believe in accountability. Thomas, I'll leave it to you to decide what happens next, but I think a review of how your staff treats customers is in order. The chairman nodded firmly. Absolutely. Mr. Richardson looked like he wanted to plead, but Keanu had already turned away. As he walked toward the exit, the other customers and employees stared in awe. A few even whispered his name, realizing who he was. Just before stepping out, Keanu stopped and glanced back. Oh, and Mr. Richardson. Yes, the manager croaked. Keanu grinned. Nice shoes. Very branded. With that, he walked out, leaving the entire bank in stunned silence. Thomas turned to Mr. Richardson, his face stern. The manager was visibly shaking, his earlier arrogance completely gone. Step into my office, Thomas said, his voice cold and professional. Richardson gulped and followed. Inside the office, Thomas shut the door and leaned against his desk, arms crossed. I want to know exactly what happened, and choose your words carefully. Richardson wiped the sweat off his brow. Sir, I didn't recognize him. He was dressed so casually, and we get a lot of people who... Thomas raised a hand. Stop. Do you think this bank's reputation depends on the wealth of the customers we serve? Do you think we built this empire by judging people based on their clothes? No, sir, Let me tell you a story, Thomas interrupted. Years ago, a man walked into this very bank in a simple outfit. Jeans, a t-shirt, nothing fancy. He wanted to open an account. The manager at that time treated him well, despite his appearance. That man turned out to be Keanu Reeves. He was so impressed by the service that, over the years, he invested in this bank and eventually became its largest shareholder. Richardson's face turned even paler. Thomas continued, Keanu believes in humility and kindness. He never flaunts his wealth, never demands VIP treatment. He gives everyone a fair chance, whether they're rich or poor. And today, you failed his test. Richardson swallowed hard. Sir, I understand. I made a mistake. Please, give me a second chance. Thomas studied him for a long moment. Keanu is a man of second chances, but he also believes in accountability. Your behavior today was unacceptable. However, I'm not firing you. Richardson let out a breath of relief. Thank you, sir. I promise I'll... Thomas held up a finger. You're being demoted. Effective immediately, you are no longer the senior manager. You will work as a customer service representative, directly assisting clients at the front desk. You will learn what it means to treat every person with respect, regardless of their financial status. Richardson's relief shattered. Sir, please, This is not negotiable, Thomas said firmly. You can take the offer or resign. Richardson hesitated, then lowered his head. I'll take the position, sir. Good, Thomas said. Learn from this. You won't get another chance. A week later, Keanu returned to the bank, this time in a sharp black suit. The staff greeted him with nervous smiles. Word had spread about what had happened, and there was a noticeable change in attitude. He walked up to the front desk, where Richardson was now stationed. The former manager looked exhausted but more humble. When he saw Keanu, he straightened up immediately. Keanu smiled. Hello, Mr. Richardson. I'd like to make a deposit. Richardson swallowed hard, then nodded. Of course, sir. I'll be happy to assist you. Keanu handed over a check. Richardson took it, and as his eyes fell on the amount, they widened. It was a donation, a massive one, to the bank's customer service training program. Keanu leaned in slightly. Everyone deserves respect, Mr. Richardson, even those who don't look like VIPs. Richardson nodded slowly. I understand now. Keanu smiled. Good. Then your second chance wasn't wasted. As Keanu walked out, the entire staff watched in silence. But this time, it wasn't out of shock. It was out of respect. Never judge people based on their appearance. True value lies in character, not clothing. Respect should be given to everyone, regardless of their financial status.